All right, what's going on, my friends? It's now 3 o'clock. NBA Finals will kick off on Thursday. Mavericks and Celtics from TD Garden in Boston. Celtics favored by 6.5 in Game 1. Ben Golliver, Washington Post, will join the show at 3:20 to preview the series. The Women's College World Series championship round is set. Oklahoma top Florida today, 6-5 in extra innings. The championship series begins tomorrow. Oklahoma and Texas. First pitch at 5 on ESPN. The Sooners looking to win their fourth consecutive championship. The Oregon Ducks baseball team will kick off the Super Regional Saturday at College Station against Texas A&M. First pitch at 11. Oregon State will face Kentucky and Lexington. The Super Regional, first pitch at 3 on ESPN. 2:30 pregame on 1190 KX with Mike Parker, your home of the Beavs. The 49ers have locked up Christian McCaffrey again by adding 2 years to his current deal. The extension averages at $19 million per year. Rip City Drive with Dwight and Shaq coming at you now.
Coleman, deep fly ball, back to the wall, and Jada Coleman hits it out the opposite field. Walk-off home run for the Sooners. And the quest for a four-peat continues. The Sooners survive and advance to face Texas in the championship finals. And it's off the bat of one of the seniors. A fabulous run for the Florida Gators, and it comes to an end here in the semis. 6-5, Oklahoma a winner.
The Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad, presented by Lazy Boy. What is your strategy for comfort?
Here's the 1-0. Swing and a drive deep to center field. Going back, Yastrzemski onto the track, onto the wall. Gone! Pavin sends him home as he hits one towards the moon. And the Diamondbacks win by a final of 4-2.
Come find me at Staples so I can enjoy the abject shock on your face when the Clippers bring home a title this season.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just messing with you, man. You're a legend. It's an honor to squire the great Doc Rivers into L.A. in my Prius.
Thanks, man.
Hey, can I ask you a very, very personal question? Off the record.
Yeah.
Why did a championship coach like you take a job with the dog-iest team in sports?
I like a challenge.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad starts now.
I don't know what to say. The Godfather and I, along with Shaq, are having so much fun watching Oklahoma clinch their berth into the championship series that we blew off other duties.
Yeah, we missed actually an important duty that we don't usually miss.
Yeah, Gretchen, our good friend from Lazy Boy, and she truly is one of the nicest, sweetest individuals I know on the planet. We were supposed to tape a commercial today, but I was so wrapped up into the Oklahoma Sooners getting over on Florida to clinch their spot in the championship round for the Women's College World Series against Texas that I came in the studio. Everything was great. We got the show prep done early. The Sooners just clinched a win. And then I'm like, man, something's got to be wrong because it feels so right. And then I get the message from Gretchen, oh, I guess today's not a good day. And then I'm like, oh, no. So she's in a meeting, but I am hoping we're going to be able to reconnect. But I love it, man. I love watching the Women's College World Series. A lot of fun. Those women are awesome. And then we got the baseball, which will kick off on Friday and Saturday. Oregon and Oregon State both still alive. Oregon will be down in College Station against A&M, a good baseball team. And Oregon State's got a tough battle ahead in Lexington against Kentucky, one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, yeah. And, folks, if you think Chad was watching the game, he was gripping. I mean, there was a lot of jumping up and down. There was some yelling at the TV screen. He's not a casual fan of Oklahoma softball.
No, it was big time. Even my dad, he was all into it, so he was texting me and stuff. So he was pretty happy with the comeback, setting up the ultimate championship against Texas. When you grow up in Oklahoma, you are taught few things when you're little. And my Nana used to always say things like, oh, Chad, they're from Texas, and we don't deal with Texas. You know, there's a border skirmish there. And so I love watching the Longhorns go down, but this is going to be awesome to see Texas and Oklahoma go head-to-head this year. They've been the top two teams in the country all year long, and they face off in the championship round, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But it's good to see you, by the way. How's your day going, Godfather?
Just great, Chad.
That's awesome.
You know, if people are, we're on a YouTube channel, and it would do you good. It would do your heart good to tune into the YouTube channel right now, because on the screen is a Mike Shacker creation of Chad on the mound for the Sooners pitching, left-handed, of course. And it's a pretty picture.
I do look like I could fit on their team.
Yeah.
My form looks pretty good on the pitch right there. I think the Florida pitcher today, this is what blows me away. 160 pitches in the game today. That is unbelievable to me, how throwing underhand, you can maintain the velocity, and these gals can throw, 100-plus pitches with no problem, and they'll come back and pitch the next day.
Yeah.
I don't understand the science on that. We need to get one of those science dorks on to explain why throwing underhand is so much easier on your arms than throwing overhand. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, but,
Got to be something with the shoulder mechanics or something.
Yeah, it is. It's, all you need to do is pick up something and throw it overhand and then underhand and realize the real difference, and much easier on the elbow, too, I think, especially when you're throwing a baseball and you're trying to throw a curve. The torque on your elbow is unbelievable. But, they're very impressive pitching in softball. But on the other hand, today's version of softball, many more home runs hit than there used to be.
Yeah. Power. It's all about the power. And Oklahoma was able to get back into the game today with home runs, and they won the game on a walk-off home run. Yeah. So it's not just baseball. It's much easier to score runs when someone just hits it over the fence.
Yes, those 3-run homers
Funny,
are nice.
Go figure.
In any sport, home runs with people on base are a pretty good thing.
Well, this is further clinched what we were talking about the other day. Whether it's Oklahoma City, which is where I would like to go, or Omaha, I need to get to one of these College World Series to check it out, because you've got all the teams, all the fans that arrive on one site, and they're there throughout the course of the series. I think that's awesome. And you've been to Omaha and said it's one of the absolute best you've ever been to in terms of a venue and a sporting event to cover. It's right up there near the top, is it not?
It is. A great ballpark downtown in Omaha. And it's something about the whole city gets behind this whole thing. And the stadium's packed for every game. And it's just such an atmosphere of college sports. And you see great baseball. These are the cream of the crop of college baseball players there.
Oh, by the way, Ben Golliver going to join us here at 3:20.
Oh.
We love Ben Golliver.
He is I think we said he is he's in our Hall of Fame, isn't he?
He is. He's
a Rip City Drive Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he is. He's been a part of every show that I've had here in Portland.
Yeah.
Very smart, knows the game really well. Appreciate his work ethic. He's terrific. He's going to join us coming up in 20 minutes. We have a number of different items that we want to get to today, and we have a 4-pack of tickets for you to sit in the Rip City Radio Row and check out the Hillsboro Hops. We'll give tickets away today at 5 o'clock. If you want to jump on board, like Dwight mentioned, go to youtube.com and pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620, and you can click and subscribe. But you'll find the link to all of our live shows right there. So if you want to feel better about the way you look, just flip on the live stream and take a look at our two mugs.
You're back up there right now in the midst of your wind-up throwing a softball.
I look good, man. What can I say?
Yeah, you got the cap on kind of cockeyed. It's a nice look for you.
I got my rally cap on.
Yeah, it's nice.
All right. I want to play this. You sent this over to me, but I think it's a good reminder. And it's actually fitting because I'm getting ready to take off to go check out the Dodgers and Yankees in a series. But Vin Scully, we miss him. And this is what he put together for his final broadcast, which is pretty cool. But it's 2 minutes and 29 seconds of greatness.
Yes, it is.
So let's take a listen to Vin Scully, because you know what? I'm not sure that Major League Baseball has a voice now, Godfather. We'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
Many years ago, a little red-headed boy was walking home from school, passing a Chinese laundry, and stopped to see the score of a World Series game posted in the window. The Yankees beat the Giants 18-4 on October the 2nd, 1936. Well, the boy's reaction was pity for the Giants, and he became a rabid Giants fan from that day forward, until the joyous moment when he was hired to broadcast Brooklyn Dodger games in 1950. Ironically, October the 2nd, 2016 will mark my final broadcast of a Giants-Dodger game, and it will be exactly 80 years to the day since that little boy fell in love with baseball. God has been very generous to that little boy, allowing him to fulfill a dream of becoming a broadcaster and to live it for 67 years. Since 1958, you and I have really grown up together through the good times and the bad. The transistor radio is what bound us together. By the way, were you at the Coliseum when we sang Happy Birthday to an umpire? Were you among the crowd that groaned at one of my puns? Or did you kindly laugh at one of my little jokes? Did I put you to sleep with the transistor radio tucked under your pillow? You know, you were simply always there for me. I've always felt that I needed you more than you needed me, and that holds true to this very day. I've been privileged to share in your passion and love for this great game. My family means everything to me, and I'll now be able to share life's experiences with them. My wife Sandy, our children Kevin, Todd, Aaron, Kelly, and Catherine, along with our entire family, will join me in sharing God's blessings of that precious gift of time. You folks have truly been the wind beneath my wings, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me on this incredible journey of 67 years of broadcasting Dodger baseball.
Well, what a stud. Absolute class act. Who is the voice of baseball right now? Do we have one?
We don't have a national voice that people recognize. And I can go all the way back. You know, Vinny has become that. You know, he became that for about 20 years, I think. Before that, I don't know if this is before your time, Chap. Mel Allen, the great voice for the Yankees for years. He voiced This Week in Baseball.
Was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, great voice, and he was terrific. When I was a kid, the guy doing the game of the week was always Kurt Gowdy. And Kurt was also, he did basketball, football, everything. But he was pretty much the baseball voice for a long time. He had done the Red Sox and then went to work at CBS, I think. But we just haven't had that really great voice, identifiable with baseball kind of guy up front.
Well, what was really brutal about, last year, too, is that no more Vin. And then you had the World Series where Joe Buck was no longer available for the call because he went to ESPN to focus on Monday Night Football with Troy Aikman. And then Joe Davis steps in. I like Joe Davis. I watch a lot of Dodger games, and I enjoy him, but he's pretty underwhelming in comparison with the all-time great voices. And I know a lot of people, particularly Giant fans, they hate Joe Buck. A lot of people hate Joe Buck for whatever reason.
I don't get that.
But his voice was recognizable, and it was powerful in those type of moments for baseball. Al Michaels used to be powerful when it came to baseball.
Yeah.
And we need that voice again.
Oh, man. If they could bring Al Michaels back to do the World Series every year, that would be phenomenal. Al was great on baseball.
All right, I did get a message that, I have to say I agree with this 100%, but hey, Chad, tell Gretchen that she has a great voice, maybe the most pleasant on radio for ads.
Yeah, she does.
I would agree with that. She's amazing. All right, when we come back, Ben Golliver, Washington Post, will join us. We're going to focus in on the NBA Finals. One, how much pressure is on Jason Tatum to perform? How much pressure is on his coach, Missoula, Montana? And how does he explain the turnout of Kyrie Irving? We still haven't figured it out.
No.
And we'll also get his take on Jason Kidd in his progression as a head coach. Ben Golliver's up next. We'll give away tickets for the Hops coming up at 5. 503-248-0620. You got the Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. All right, our next guest is a grinder, and he's been a grinder for a long period of time, and he does a kick-ass job of covering the NBA. He's with the Washington Post, and he's back on the show, Ben Golliver. What's up, Ben?
Not too much, guys. Live in Boston. Get ready for the Finals Media Day on Wednesday and Game 1 on Thursday. Should be a good series, man. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're looking forward to the series. I guess the first question we have, we assume it's the networks, but why not start the series sooner instead of waiting a full week with those two conference finals getting done sooner?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it obviously television rules everything, Chad. You know that. Just bad luck, bad timing, bad organization, everything for the NBA this year. I mean, everybody just spent the last week yelling about Caitlin Clark for the run-up to the NBA Finals. There's not even anything going on in the NBA. You want to get excited about Bronny James pre-draft analysis. Is he going to go in the first round? I mean, they just got nothing, Chad, really. And it's too bad because I actually thought both of the teams that advanced, Dallas and Boston, both had really, really good momentum coming out of those series. I mean, Luka Doncic for the Mavericks playing the best basketball of his entire career. The guy's a heck of a player. And then for Boston, obviously they got the sweep, so they were done even earlier. But they're going through that weaker Eastern Conference. But they did everything they needed to do. You can only play the teams in front of you, and they smacked just about everybody they played in that Eastern Conference bracket. And they showed a little bit of fortitude late in game as well, which has been a problem for them. So, instead of kind of hyping those teams up, getting really excited, we all just took a break for a week. But I think it's about to start back up tomorrow. You got Kyrie Irving right in the middle of everything, playing against his former team. Kristaps Porzingis playing against his former team. You got Luka at 25 years old trying to become a champion at a younger age than Michael Jordan or LeBron James. I think some exciting storylines here for this finals.
Okay, Ben, I want to ask you about Porzingis. What do you expect? I mean, he hasn't played in a while. And they're playing pretty well without him. Sometimes dropping a guy into that situation can set a team back a little bit. Do you expect that or something else?
Well, talk about the bright lights too, right, Dwight? I mean, he hasn't played in a month, and you're going to put him out there at TD Garden in one of the craziest environments with the fans out there for blood, all the television, lights and all that kind of stuff on. I have no idea what to expect from Porzingis in Game 1, but they need his shooting. There's no question about it. And they just need him to fill up some minutes so that Al Horford doesn't have to play out there for 35, 40 minutes trying to chase Luka and Kyrie around, because that's not going to go very well. We saw what those Dallas guards did against Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, Naz Reid. Those three guys are in their prime for Minnesota. They had no chance against Luka and Kyrie. Al Horford, I mean, he's almost as old as me. He's not almost as old as you, Dwight, but he's almost as old as me.
Thank you.
He's still playing these playoff minutes. And, that's a tough ask. So I think they just need Porzingis to kind of keep some of the load off Al Horford. But I don't understand why they couldn't get Porzingis back in during that Eastern Conference Finals. When you're up 2-0, up 3-0, throw him out there and get him some rest, get him warm, get the nerves out of his system, right? Just have him have a taste of playoff basketball. And I think they said, he wants the extra 9 days to rest. How much time does he need to rest? The guy hasn't played in like a month. We've been sitting around waiting to see him play. So if he's not close to 100% for Game 1, I'll be stunned because it seems like he's had plenty of time to get right.
We're talking with Ben Golliver, Washington Post here on the Rip City Drive. You got to help me, Ben. When the move was made to bring in Kyrie Irving, he was coming off a horrible stint in Brooklyn. We all thought it was going to be a disaster, and now Kyrie appears to be the model citizen, the great teammate, and he's playing terrific basketball, and he's working well with Luka. How do you explain this turnaround?
Well, Chad, think about how satisfying this championship would be for Kyrie. He gets to do it without LeBron. He gets to do it against his former team where he's flipping off their fans a couple years ago and talking about how there's subtly racist behavior and how it didn't work out. He was teammates with a lot of these guys, right? So he gets to do it against his former teammates. He gets to make the media. He's always had problems with the media. He gets to make the media look like a bunch of idiots for criticizing him for 3 years if he wins this championship. This might be like the sweetest title ever if Kyrie Irving is able to win this big for the Dallas Mavericks. So it's pretty wild how the stories and narratives can change. But I think it's important to point out it did not work last year with him and Luka. They were bad down the stretch of that season, and that's why they tanked. That's why they missed the playoffs. That's why they were in the lottery. That's how they even had a chance to draft Derek Lively. And really what changed for Kyrie, not only did he show some more maturity and kind of keep the distractions to a minimum, but they changed all the pieces around those guys. They got some centers who are really good at attacking the rim and dunking and finishing lobs in both Lively and Daniel Gafford. That's really helped the guards create some more space for those guys. They also got P.J. Washington, Derrick Jones Jr., some shooters in the corners, which they didn't really have last year because, last year it was just Luka's turn, then Kyrie's turn. They didn't have any ball movement. They didn't have a lot of shooting around those guys. So they've really improved the supporting cast. And Mavericks general manager Nico Harrison got himself a contract extension today. I thought a lot of the moves he made along the way were desperate, but man, they've paid off beautifully. They've really worked. The pairing with Kyrie has been better. The supporting cast is much better. And that's why he got himself a new contract. And that's why the Mavericks are in position to compete for a championship.
Ben, I wanted to ask you about Nico. He's a local guy, a Tigard resident. I remember seeing him play in high school. And I think he's been so under the radar here. Everybody talks about those key acquisitions that he has made, but they never mention him, and it's like, what does a guy have to do to get some credit here? I also think somebody has done a good job with Jason Kidd. I mean, I think he's doing more coaching this year. They're defending so much better that I almost feel the same way about Kidd that I do about Kyrie. What's gotten into this guy? I don't know that coming into this year I considered him a top-level coach, but he's done a great job this year, right?
Well, I agree 100%. Here's the first thing I would say, though, Dwight. When you got a Luka, everybody looks good in Luka's halo, right? I mean, That's a real nice place to be. When you're around a guy who's arguably the best player in the NBA, right up there with Nikola Jokic. It's very similar to Denver's run last year, right? Everybody's singing Michael Malone's praises. Calvin Booth, the front office, looks like a genius. Well, that's what happens when you have that unbelievable talent in the middle of everything. But I'm with you. Nico has not gotten his attention. I think a big reason why, Mark Cuban, right? Everybody just thinks Mark Cuban, you run that franchise. Well, he sold the team halfway through the season, or at least a chunk of it. And so he's not necessarily making every single move. And give Nico a lot of credit for identifying their weaknesses and going out and finding the players who can fill them. And let's be honest, they made some real bets. I mean, betting on Kyrie coming out of Brooklyn is a huge bet that most teams did not want to make. Even P.J. Washington, I mean, he had no real track record of success coming out of Charlotte. He was a forgotten man, but they saw the talent. They were able to kind of plug and play. So they've made some really adept additions, and it's really been focused around how do you get Luka just enough talent so he can carry you over the top. And that's what we saw against the Timberwolves. I mean, that series felt like it was really one-sided because it was over in 5. Luka hit game-winning shots in Game 1 and Game 2, and then he put them away in the first quarter of Game 5 before it could even get close. That just shows you that, ultimately this is still a team that's driven by their superstar-level player. Now, they've surrounded him with just enough to make things interesting, but this is still the Luka Doncic show, no doubt.
Hey, Ben, how do you think Boston's defense will match up with Luka and Kyrie with Derek White and Drew Holiday with their on-ball pressure and then, of course, the length of Tatum and Brown?
Yeah, they're going to want the bigger guys to guard Luka. Luka is a horse, man. That guy is so big. He's so thick. He's so strong. He just moves anybody. So you're going to want Jaylen Brown. Drew Holiday is a pretty strong guy, even though he's a little bit shorter. You're going to want him. You're going to want Tatum doing the bulk of the work against Luka. You're going to want to save Derek White for Kyrie if you can. But they're going to try to switch everything. That's been their scheme. They're going to start with that and see how it goes. I think their hope is to convince Luka to take tough contested twos as opposed to letting him get downhill for the lobs because that was so successful against Minnesota, or letting him just shoot the open step back threes because he's been shooting the ball great, especially in that Western Conference Final. So it's really their defense is going to be about shot quality. Can they just make Luka work hard enough to not give him his very favorite looks, not let him get to his favorite sweet spots? The other thing they're going to do is they're going to make him and Kyrie run around on defense. The Celtics always want to keep 4 or 5 shooters on the court, outside shooters, three-point shooters, on the court at the same time. That means Kyrie and Luka are going to have to do a lot of dirty work of making the closeouts, making the rotations, getting their hands up, defensive rebounding, the long shots. That's the kind of stuff that really is tiring for guards, and they're going to want those guys to work. They got to relax a lot against Minnesota because there's an awful lot of guys on that Timberwolves team who either couldn't shoot or forgot how to shoot. And I'm looking at you, Karl Anthony Towns. We didn't even see that guy show up for the first 3 games. Supposed to be the best big man shooter ever. he wasn't even there for the first 3 games, guys. But they just had some weak links in their offense, and Luka was able to rest against those guys. There won't be any resting against the Boston Celtics offense.
Okay, Ben, I keep getting the feeling that this is kind of a big series for Jason Tatum, a guy who I think has always felt he didn't get enough credit, whatever. This is his chance to kind of show he belongs in that next tier of players, huh?
Well, Dwight, you get the credit you earn, right? Isn't that how it goes?
That's supposed to, yeah.
Yeah, well, so what's he done to earn it? You know, it's like he's played solid B-plus basketball for 6 years of his life, right? Well, congratulations. You know, we don't throw parties for B-plus, right? We throw parties for A-plus. And I think that's where he's at in his career. If he wants to have a signature series here, step it up, average 30, get his three-point shot going, unlike the Eastern Conference Finals where he couldn't hit a thing, he will get his credit. Trust me, there's so many people in that Boston media waiting to sing his praises, waiting to crown him as a champion. They just haven't been able to do it because he hasn't been good enough in the biggest moments, right? He faltered in last year's Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah. He faltered in the 2022 Finals against the Golden State Warriors. The list goes on and on. It goes all the way back to the bubble. I was sitting there courtside of the bubble watching this guy stand in the corner. He's watching Marcus Smart, a guy who can't shoot, take every single big shot. It's like, come on, man, is this your team or not, right? So this is his opportunity. He's in his prime. I expect it's going to be a team effort from Boston, but Tatum has to lead the way. I think they will win the series, and I do think he's going to start to get a little bit more credit than he's gotten in the past.
We're talking with Ben Golliver, talking the NBA Finals as we get ready for it to kick off on Thursdays with the Washington Post. What about Joe Mazzulla? Is there pressure on him if the Celtics don't get over this year?
Well, there's always pressure on him because he's the new guy. He's the young guy. He replaced Ime Udoka, who had so much success. I think he's changed his reputation this year. He's been more flexible in what he's trying to do. He's been a little bit better of a game manager. He has a very clear way he wants to play, getting all these three-pointers up. And they always say it's a make-or-miss league. I mean, that's going to be what determines his reputation. If they go through a cold stretch, they can't hit enough three-pointers, and their offense falls to pieces, everyone's going to blame him, and everyone's going to blame Tatum. There's no question, right? But Boston has so many weapons. They've been so good offensively all season long. They should be able to survive one dud or maybe even 2 duds in the finals because their system works that well. So I think there's a chance, if they win the title, it's going to spin fast, guys. Get ready for it. He's going to be the boy genius, the guy who stepped in and made it all work. I think that's going to be how people kind of spin it. But if it doesn't happen, he's going to be at the top list of the scapegoats, no doubt.
Ben, I wanted to ask you, too, about Kidd. We talked briefly about him, but I'm shocked at how well the Mavs have played on defense the second half of the season. And I try to always give coaches credit for defensive improvement because players don't want to do it. It's something you got to make them do for the most part. What do you think of Kidd overall? Has your opinion of him changed this year?
Oh, it definitely has. I mean, if you go back to Milwaukee, he just sort of gave the ball to Giannis and got out of the way, and that was kind of the strategy. And they wound up hitting walls because they needed a little bit more nuance and a little bit more care to their approach. And I think what you're seeing from Jason Kidd is just a little bit more of a maturity as a coach, right? He's found ways to connect with Luka Doncic. We see Luka cry for calls constantly, right? But we don't see him get those back-breaking technicals that he used to get earlier in the season or last season that would really throw them off. With Kyrie, it's very clear that he has a tight relationship with Jason Kidd that goes back to when Kyrie was a kid. And their communication, their vision of how the offense should work has come together because Jason Kidd can think just like Kyrie thinks in a way that most of us mere mortals, from a basketball standpoint, really can't operate on their same wavelength, right? And then the defensive part, it goes back a little bit to Nico in terms of targeting the right types of players. Derek Lively was just a great draft pick. That guy will play defense anywhere, anytime, and he's going to play 1,000 miles an hour, right? Well, he's a perfect fit. Kidd saw the talent, and he gave him big minutes from day one. So give Kidd credit for knowing his personnel there as well. I also think this Dallas coaching staff, they've got Sean Sweeney, who's been a close associate of Kidd at pretty much every one of his coaching stops. He gets a lot of credit for the X's and O's on the defense, it sounds like, in terms of what they're doing. And so he's really got everybody buying in. And then also they've got Jared Dudley, the former NBA player, who's very popular, kind of an outspoken guy. And it sounds like he's been really good for their culture as well. So I mean, I think from Kidd's standpoint, give him credit for even just hiring and putting together a quality staff, for communicating with these superstar level players, and for creating that culture where defense is important, where effort is important, and for playing the guys who are going to play hard, right? I mean, that's another part of the deal too. There's some guys like Tim Hardaway Jr., not really known as a defensive player. He barely even saw the court, right? I mean, he hasn't really been out there for a lot of these key minutes because Kidd's prioritizing the guys who do what you need to do to win.
Hey, Ben, final question for you. Who do you like in this series? How do you see it playing out?
I do think it's going to be Boston. I'm going to take Celtics in 7 because I just don't trust them to handle their business quicker than that. And I think you got to give Luka at least 1 or 2 games just off his pure talent. But if you look at all the conventional advantages, right, they have more reps, they've got home court, they have more collective experience. Their main guys have been to the finals together. They had a better regular season record, a more dominant regular season in terms of point differential. They went through the playoffs faster. All those things tend to say, well, that's the team that's going to win the championship, right? And so I'm just kind of risk averse here with this pick. I'm not going out on the limb, but I'll tell you this. If Luka does it, it's going to be wild because it's going to be one of the all-time great fraud exposure moments in NBA history, right? You have a 64-win team with home court advantage that can't finish off a championship against a group that's just thrown together at the trade deadline around Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
That's going to really change how people think about the Celtics. So I think the juicier way this goes is Dallas wins it, but I think the more boring, more conventional way that it goes is Boston wins it. I'm going to take the boring and conventional path.
All right, Ben Golliver, Washington Post. Not a surprise, but another dominant performance for you, my friend. Enjoy the finals. Have fun in Boston.
All right, guys. Take care.
Gosh, he was so good today.
Always.
On point. He made a great point. If Boston doesn't finish this off and they get taken out by Dallas, a team that almost no one thought had a chance to win the championship, it would be a great embarrassment for them.
Yeah. All-time fraud team. I think he said it right there.
Yeah.
Ben is so knowledgeable, not just about the finals teams, but everybody in the league. He's really plugged in.
I'm blown away by Dallas. I just can't believe that they've been able to put it together.
Yeah.
And what a job by Nico Harrison, their general manager. Obviously, a fresh set of eyes and some new ideas. When Mark Cuban steps away and you have someone else in there, sometimes that can do wonders for an organization.
Yeah, he took some gambles, and he didn't miss on much of anything. I'll tell you that. And I think, too, the GM is working in concert with the coach because Jason Kidd was a defender, and I think he wanted to play good defense, but he probably didn't have the guys. And Ben mentioned Tim Hardaway Jr., never a defender. He's hardly playing now. It's amazing to me because he was one of their key guys last year and the year before that. It's they've transformed that team. They really have.
All right, when we come back, with the Olympics on the horizon, could the expanded drug testing to be an Olympian have an impact on big-name stars who are expected to be there?
Yeah, I can't imagine who you're talking about.
We'll discuss next.
Oh,
Michael Shacker's playing a wide variety of music
yeah,
today.
and this is fun for the whole family right here, this music.
Yes. All right. I want to ask you a question about LeBron James. The Olympics, and I'm assuming this applies to all athletes who enter into the Olympics
Mhm.
or who are going to compete in the Olympics. In all sports, they face a wide variety of drug tests, right?
I believe the Olympic drug testing is the standard, basically, the top level of drug testing. Yes.
Well, the rumors now for quite some time, really the fans were flamed by Chael Sonnen, where he came out and said that he has the same doctor as LeBron.
Hmm.
You know, a lot of people have wondered about LeBron James because, 20 plus years into the NBA, he still looks amazing, is remarkably fit, and has avoided massive injury. Like he's still strong and able to play minutes and do things that most guys at his age we've never seen do before. So, of course, there's always going to be conspiracy theorists who are like, well, why is he different than everyone else? What's he doing differently than everyone else, which has allowed this type of longevity? Is he a freak, just a freak of nature in terms of genetic gifting? That's possible. But of course, when it comes to big time sports, big time athletes, and the money and everything that else is at stake, the temptation for all athletes to look to pharmaceutical enhancements are there. So
Yes.
everyone's always going to wonder whether or not LeBron is on the sauce. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. And there have been a lot of people who believe he is.
Yeah. Now, I do think some athletes accuse because they're jealous.
Mhm.
And we see that happen before. But I will say this, LeBron's physique and the way he can still play at his age, I marvel at it. And it's
you're a guy who-
mind-blowing.
You know something of that subject.
Yeah, exercise and fitness. Like, even if he is using the sauce, what I respect is athletes who this deep in their career are just as dedicated at the end of taking care of their body and doing things the right way to put themselves in a position to perform their best that they did when they first got in. Like, I really respect guys like that. Like Tom Brady, who I mostly loathe for a variety of different reasons. I respect his greatness, but what I love most about him was he got better with age. And the reason why is because he didn't just stick to the old school train of thought when it came to nutrition and exercise. He was willing to look around and do something or include something into his regimen if it made sense, if it was proper and correct. And with that, he continued to expand his abilities, and his arm got stronger, and his focus level got better, and it's pretty impressive. So, yeah, I like athletes like that, but my guess would be with the Olympics. Do you think big name, big time athletes, what are the chances that they would actually get outed if they test positive? Because I just find it hard to believe that the Olympics would want to out a big name somebody if it would prevent them from competition.
Yeah, that's a thought. What I would think, though, in the Olympics, where the Americans are generally regarded as, I think, to most of the world, villains whose team is loaded up every year with people getting paid very well.
Yeah, but it didn't used to be like that.
No,
We used to
it
send
didn't.
over our amateurs for crying out loud and get our face kicked in.
I know. I'm just saying. But I think now there'd be a segment running the Olympics who would love to catch an American cheating.
That's annoying to me. But the commies are okay. No one's going to accuse the commies of cheating or anything like that. You're
Well,
right. We're the big bad Americans. You're right.
Yeah, but they've been caught. The East Germans were caught several times, and the Russians have been caught.
That'll happen when your female competitors have beards. We're going to
Yeah.
get very suspicious of what's going on.
Yeah. but really, I think players now, with science being what it is, if they're using something, they have masking agents way ahead of the tests.
Yeah.
And they can probably do what they do and not get caught.
Interesting.
Because nobody's getting caught anymore. You see it in any of these sports? How many people are sitting down with steroid suspensions?
No big names.
No. And especially in basketball and baseball, you hardly see it anymore. And I don't know that it's because nobody's using. I think it's just that they're hiding it better.
Yeah.
Because I still believe, and come on, I've seen it in basketball where I know and I've been told I know what's going on, but the people using them didn't get caught. And I saw vast, amazing changes in players' bodies in just one off season. We're talking about like 4 or 5 months Oh, yeah. I lifted a lot in off-season. I put on 35 pounds of muscle. No, you didn't.
Yeah,
Not without help.
I'm still convinced that the Denver Broncos, right at the beginning of their back-to-back championship run with Elway, they came in the 97 season, and Romo had been on the team the year before. And all of a sudden, Romo, Shannon Sharp, Ed McCaffrey, of all guys, they came back in an offseason and were ripped and rocked. And there are a lot of guys tied in with EAS, the supplement company.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, EAS is nice, but come on, guys, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And, of course, Romo was well known for, and I knew Romo pretty well when I was down in the Bay Area. I mean, he would go through great lengths of having his urine tested and analyzed to make sure that it had the proper, balance of nutrients with all the minerals and all the different
You're
things.
talking about Bill Romanowski.
Yeah,
as
Romo.
said.
Yeah, Bill Romanowski. That's right. I know him as Romo, but
I
Bill
know.
Romanowski.
Yeah, we should say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a boss down in San Francisco once. The guy was an idiot. He was from Canada, not a surprise. But everyone in
Those little slides you throw in are great.
yeah. So everyone in the city knew who Mad Bum was, right?
Yeah, of course.
He came in one day. He's like, Chad, you shouldn't refer to him as Mad Bum. You should say out his name, Madison Bumgarner, so people know who you're referring to. And I'm like,
No.
I'm pretty sure that 99.99% of everyone in the city is well aware of who Mad Bum is. The guy's a legend.
No, it's like saying Dame in Portland.
Yeah.
You don't have to say his whole name. Come on.
Yeah, thanks a
You
lot,
say
Canada.
Clyde, and nobody's mistaking him for the guy working downtown, sweeping the streets up.
But here's my question: the IOC it's been corrupt for years. Godfather, the International Olympic Committee, corruption. Would let's say that LeBron or a big name athlete in the Olympics tested positive for some type of PEDs, would they just keep it under wraps? How would they handle that? Or would they throw the Americans under the bus?
I think they throw the Americans under the bus. Yeah, they're corrupt when it comes to where they put the Olympics and how much money they take under the table.
Well, remember the stories? Yeah, money under the table, sex.
Yeah.
They were trading sexual favors and money so that your city could get the bid for the Olympics.
Both the Olympic Committee and the World Cup soccer guys, they're supposedly all. I don't want to say anything that's going to make me do a retraction.
Yeah.
But they've been questioned in the past, yes.
Yeah. I hope Bassett doesn't represent anyone on the IOC. In fact, I just retracted right now. I didn't mean anything I said.
Yeah, that was just a joke.
Yeah, just a joke. They did used to do that, though. There was big stories that came out. Money, all sorts of things under the table.
They never had any trouble getting people to volunteer to be on that committee after that, though.
That's true. we need that gig. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad. If you're trying to get more people to pay attention to your product, we have a good example of what not to do. We'll play it for you next. All right, 4 o'clock chat here. What is going on, my friends? Hope you're enjoying your Tuesday afternoon. The NBA Finals will kick off Thursday. Mavericks and Celtics from TD Garden in Boston. Celtics a 6.5-point favorite in Game 1. Ben Golliver of the Washington Post joined the show. You can always podcast on the iHeartRadio app or at ripcityradio.com. The Women's College World Series Championship round is set. Oklahoma over Florida today in extras 6-5. They will take on Texas Game 1 tomorrow, 5 o'clock first pitch on ESPN. The Sooners are seeking their 4th consecutive championship. Oregon Ducks baseball will kick off their Super Regional Saturday at College Station against A&M. First pitch at 11. Oregon State will face Kentucky and Lexington Super Regional. And that first pitch at 3 on Saturday. Pregame at 2:30, first pitch at 3 on 1190 KX, your home of the Beavs. And the 49ers have locked up Christian McCaffrey, adding 2 years to his current deal, averaging $19 million per season. Well, Godfather, I think I'm going to love you forever. You brought me not 1 but 2 bags of Snyder's pretzels today. You got my back, man. Thank you.
I seem to have an overstock at home, Chad. I'm not quite sure why, but yeah, there's probably more on the way. As soon as you're down a little, let me know, and I'll bring you some more.
Your shopping habits, I am the beneficiary, and I appreciate that. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, well.
Also, I finally connected with Sean and Sandy because he's been busting my balls nonstop for like a month straight.
Oh, that's who that was that you were talking to? Okay.
So, anyways, apparently I owe him dinner, and I don't even remember what the bet was about. I'm always making ridiculous bets with listeners. So we're going to hook up for dinner next week at Podna's.
Oh, it's a great place.
I said, Sean,
love Podna's.
It's your bet. You won. You choose the place. He's like, well, I really like barbecue. I'm like, okay, what 2 places do you like? And we talked about it, and Podna's will be the spot. So I'm going to take Sean and Sandy. We'll connect and hit it up there next week. So that bet's settled. I'm sure I owe someone else. So if that's the case, please reach out to me, 360-281-5473.
You got off easy compared to El Gacho.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was painful.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I think I told you when I took the group there with my guys over in the Vancouver location, that was a spendy night too, but it was well worth it. It was epic.
Yeah.
Absolutely epic to get some of your best friends, and I know you like going with family, where you sit down and you got like 4 hours to enjoy your meal and the conversation.
Nobody rushes you. Sit there and eat. Take your time. Great food, great service.
That's right. Oh, yeah, I had to pay you off at El Gaucho as well.
That's what I was
at the
talking
Portland
about,
location, yeah. Well, that's okay. Our good man Ian took care of us.
Mm-hmm.
He was good. Ian's nice. I'm down with Ian.
Yeah, if you're going there, ask for Ian. Ian is your server.
I forgot the gal's name at Vancouver. You know her. I can't remember her name right now. I got her card and wrote it down.
Jen, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Jen.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Top notch. Extraordinary. And then I got another couple of listeners to reach out. So I've got multiple restaurant recommendations in New York for when I'm there. So I'm dialed in.
Oh, you got that Italian place that my neighbor recommended.
Yep, I've got that. I checked it out last night. The reviews are spectacular.
Oh, you going to make a reservation there?
Yes, it says recommendations are not necessary but recommended, which means you better get yourself a darn reservation. You're going to be waiting all night. Yeah. Let's see here if I can find it. My man Alex Nelson is a good friend of mine. We're golfing buddies, and he's such a good dude because he's always offering up suggestions and there to help out whenever you need him. And the name of this place that he recommended is, let's see here, The Marshall, which is right there in Hell's Kitchen, close to where I'm staying. He didn't even know I was staying in Hell's Kitchen until I told him. But based on what I'm reading here, it's pretty good. It's like a farm-to-table concept. So this is kind of off the beaten path, good local spot that the masses don't go to or don't really know about. So I'm excited to try that.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, The Marshall. So there you go. Alex, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, let's dive into this here. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is getting a lot of attention and conversation right now because it's her rookie season. By the way, I know a lot of the vets in the WNBA will hate this, but she was named Rookie of the Month in the WNBA. And I think it's all about they're envious. They're jealous of Caitlin Clark because she's coming to the league. She's coming off her tournament run. She's got all the attention. She's got the endorsements. She's making big money. She's tied in with Nike. Like, there are a lot of women who are part of that league, I think, that have played for a long time that might be a better basketball player right now. And they resent the fact that she comes in without a pedigree in the WNBA and all of a sudden is making big-time bucks.
Yeah, she didn't come in like a Magic Johnson or a Larry Bird and be great right away.
Yeah.
She came in, and she's been okay, but not one of the top players. And
No.
I'm sure if you're a top player in that league, you're sitting there thinking, wait a second. I'm a better player than her, and she's getting all the money. Why is that? Why am I not getting taken care of?
Well, I want to play this clip here. This is Angel Reese. She's a rookie as well. She's from LSU, as you all know. And I like Angel Reese, and I want to like her. But these comments, this is probably not the best way to go about trying to get more eyeballs, more attention on your sport. Take a listen to this.
It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, just because of one single game. And just looking at that, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me, too, and I want y'all to realize that.
That's Angel Reese.
Just so you know, whatever success you've had in radio, a big part of it has been me, Chad.
Oh, my gosh. This is an
Could you
incredible
imagine?
tweet from Jason Stewart, the longtime contributor to the Jim Rome Show. He works over at Fox Sports Radio down in L.A.
Yeah, he was producer for a while, wasn't he? Was he producer?
More of a show booker, show contributor.
Oh, okay.
But he put out this tweet here. It says, the reason that Jim Rome dominated radio for all those years was not because of one person. It was because of me, too. I want you all to realize that. That's an incredible tweet by Jay Stu. Nice work. I looked at the attendance numbers, and last year the WNBA averaged 6,615 fans per game. That's not exactly selling out arenas and having a bunch of people show up.
Right.
What I don't understand, Godfather, is these players have got to recognize the fact, look, I understand you might be jealous of Caitlin Clark because she's a bigger star than you are, and she's a rookie in the league, and she's making big-time endorsement money. What you've got to understand is that you've got to embrace her and help build her up along with the rest of the game. But this, catty jealousy and trying to pick a fight and go after her or
and demean her all the time when you can.
Yeah, knocking her down out of bounds, cheap shot, blind shot, and then calling her a B as she's going down to the floor. You just got to understand you're trying to, what I would do, it's just me, I would want to think what can we do and how can we operate to attract as many eyeballs from everywhere as possible? What can we do, and how do we need to play and operate and communicate with our fans to make sure that we can appeal to the masses?
Yeah, grow the game.
Grow the game. That's what it's all about. And so I find this crazy, but those comments, anytime you start making it about yourself and pointing out what you've done and how great you are for the game or whatever, that's jealousy. That's all.
Even if it were true, which it isn't, you'd look bad saying it. You just don't. You don't do that.
That's crazy. Let's take a listen once again to Angel Reese.
It all started from the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's basketball is. People are talking about women's basketball, but you never would think that we'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to games. We got celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, just because of one single game. And just looking at that, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me, too, and I want y'all to realize that.
That sounds like something LeBron would say.
No kidding. For sure.
Yeah.
Every time somebody talked about MJ, he would throw that in.
Yeah. Yeah, LeBron.
Yeah.
That's something LeBron would say. That's how crazy that is.
Mm.
Let's go out to the phone lines. 503-248-0620. Let's go to David in Salem. David, I appreciate the phone call. You're up on the Rip City Drive. Fire away.
Hey, Chad. Hey, Godfather.
Hey.
I thought that hit on Caitlin Clark was the hopeful start of a good cat fight. Everybody loves a cat fight. I remember when the NBA, people used to duke it out. That attracted attention. So maybe this whole hit on Caitlin Clark will focus attention on the WNBA. I'm probably not going to watch those games, but if they start fighting, I'll watch them.
Well, there's David. He wants to see a good cat fight. Look, I don't have any problems with fights that break out. I grew up with the most violent era in the NBA. It was amazing. And I kind of miss those days with the physicality. But I don't have a problem with them getting physical with Caitlin Clark within the confines of the game. But cheap shots or blind shots when she's not expecting contact, I don't want people to take action that could put another player at risk.
Yeah.
That's where I draw the line. That's
Try doing it when you're making a basketball play.
Yeah.
When you're making a play during the game.
If you go up to make a play and you want to hard foul someone to make sure they don't score the layup, feel free to do whatever is necessary. That doesn't bother me at all.
Mm-hmm.
But running up behind someone when they don't see you there and hip checking them out of bounds, giving a little forearm shiver and then yelling, biatch, as they're going out of bounds, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So, but really, like, what is the most important thing they need to do to grow the game? I mean, obviously, taking cheap shots at Caitlin Clark is not the best route, but what is the best thing they can do to grow the game? I mean, you mentioned it the other day. It's obviously getting more skilled basketball players because you want to increase the talent level. That's going to be important.
And that's not going to happen anytime soon. It takes time.
Yes.
And the skill level has to get better because right now, as it sits, it's still not the kind of caliber that people are going to go out of their way to see unless you have that magnetic superstar like Caitlin Clark. People are paying to see her.
Yes.
That's who they're paying to see. None of those other ones, even though there's many better players than her, more experienced players. I'm sorry. Diana Taurasi, tremendous player. But she's had all these years to build those crowds, and it really hasn't happened.
But you know what's crazy? Like, we've never seen this in men's sports where a rookie gets treated like this, right?
Yeah, there's usually a testing process for them, but it's never, it's always within the confines of the game, I think.
Yeah. It just feels to me like Angel Reese is leaning more LeBron.
Yeah.
In his thought process. Like, even LeBron today came out and made headlines because he said he's mad that he doesn't get to play with Kyrie anymore. Like, he has to inject himself into the finals conversation.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, LeBron, please shut up, all right? I'm sorry to inform you, you're not in the finals.
Yeah. Sit at home and watch. Period.
He comes out one moment, he's saying, Bronny's better than half the guys in the league. And then the next moment he's saying, hey, can't we just let the kids be kids and get through their college career? It's really annoying.
Very.
Angel Reese shouldn't say that. You don't say things like that. Hopefully someone that she respects was in here saying, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's a pretty arrogant statement, is it not, Godfather?
Well, if it were really true, you wouldn't have to say it. People would just naturally say, Angel Reese was a big part of this.
If I want to be that, and I know I'll go down in history, I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me, too, and I want y'all to realize that.
20 years from now, they won't even recognize her name.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's just not right.
Oh, my goodness. All right, we'll keep things rolling. I think Caitlin Clark just needs to continue to do what she's doing, not react to the things that are going down.
Yeah, and work on her game and learn through the year what she needs to do to get better.
And I think people will she'll earn the respect of the vets if she continues to handle their business like this.
Yeah, and unfortunately for her, she plays on a terrible team.
All right, when we come back, once again, France is screwing it up all over again. It's called Hawkeye. You might want to check into it. We'll get to that next. All right, Godfather, what is Oregon State going to need to do to have success in this Kentucky regional against Kentucky down in Lexington? We know the bats are on fire, but I'm assuming better pitching. What do you see?
Yeah, they're going to have excellent pitching to hold these guys down because they're a good offensive team too, and they're used to playing better teams than what Oregon State saw in the Pac-12 this year. I'm pretty focused on that because the SEC got like 11 teams into the tournament, I think, something crazy like that. So, yeah, you better pitch well and hold them down a little bit to give your offense a chance. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Beavers face better pitching than what they've seen so far this year. I don't think in the regional they saw top-flight pitching, but we'll see. They have a good club, especially offensively, and Travis Bazzana can take them places that they couldn't go without him.
He's been big time.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I'm just happy their bats came alive after the poor showing in the Pac-12 tournament.
That's exactly right, Chad. They did come alive. They swung the bats much better. They found their home run strokes again. They rely on the home run. This is not a small ball team. They hit the ball out of the ballpark, and they have a lot of guys getting on base. Bazzana hitting over 400 leading off, and then Micah McDowell hitting second, who's hitting about 399. So those guys are going to be on base to drive in runs or to be on base for guys like Gavin Turley and Macias to knock in.
What about Oregon, who's going to be down in College Station taking on A&M?
I think their pitching is good enough to win, but they have to somehow manufacture a few more runs. They did not score big in Santa Barbara, but their pitching was so good they survived it. But my feeling every time is as you progress one step in these regionals, the hitting gets better and the pitching gets better. Everything is better. You're playing better teams. So down there in College Station, they're going to run into a buzzsaw likely in Texas A&M.
It's pretty much always better if you've got legitimate pitching. You can lean on your pitching.
Absolutely.
If your bat's on hot, your pitching can keep you close.
At any level. Yeah. It's also big in the super regional to have the home field advantage. The teams with home field have won, I would guess, 75% of the time.
I mean, it's pretty much like that in every sport, but in baseball, I mean, I know it was Bruce Bochy's philosophy. It's like great pitching, good defense, timely hitting.
Yeah. But baseball is the one sport where there's actually an on-field, on-court advantage to being the home team because you get to bat last. That's a huge advantage because, it's like going second in overtime in football. You know what the other team has done. So if the game's tied, maybe you might bunt a guy over. If you're down by 3 runs, you're not going to be doing any bunting. You change the strategy of the game a lot if you're batting last.
Let's be real, though. The bunting kind of sucks, doesn't it?
Yes.
I've never been a fan of the bunt.
Me either. And all the analytics guys tell you to throw it away, that it doesn't help you win games. You're giving up outs to move a player over a base. It's just not worth it. Base hit bunts, okay, once in a while, that's fine. Sacrifice bunts, forget about it. Just not worth it. It's old-time stuff that nobody's doing. I think the Braves last year went through their entire season with the best record in baseball and bunted one time, I think.
Good. We need more of that in baseball.
I know.
But you and I are the same. I'm not into the slappy type guys.
No. I make fun of guys like that. People get mad because I'm not a big Ichiro fan. I'm sorry. I don't care about a guy beating out 1,000 infield hits, Yeah. I want you to go upper deck. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. I care more about guys like Gary Sheffield standing in the box, wielding around his bat, looking to crush that ball.
Yeah.
I get off on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me too. I think it was the commercial for Nike years ago. Chicks dig the long ball.
They do.
Yeah.
And so do we.
Yeah.
Everyone digs a long ball.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about the French Open for just a moment.
Yeah.
They deserve what they get. One, they put Rafael Nadal, the greatest champion in the history of the tournament, in a ridiculous draw after missing most of the years. He's rehabbing from injury. He ends up taking on the 4 seed and gets knocked out in the first round.
And they could have put him anywhere they wanted.
Anywhere they want.
Yeah.
What are you doing, fools?
That's so stupid.
It's so dumb. It's like he is your biggest star. He is the master. No one's even come close to his greatness on clay. Give him a better draw so he's got a chance to work into his game a little bit so he can stay around so more people have a reason to watch you. Idiots.
If they would have given him
So
sort
dumb.
of a gradual build-up
Yeah.
To where I think he might have been able to beat a 4 seed,
Of course.
but not in the first match he's
No.
played in a long time.
No, even Rafael Nadal still needs a little chance to get warmed up. So that really ticked me off. When I saw the draw, I'm like, wait, what? He's playing the 4 seed? This guy's won more French Opens than anyone by a country mile, and you're putting him up against the 4 seed? That's total garbage.
And by the way, he sells a lot of tickets.
Yes, that's the key. Don't put your star in a position to fail, just like the Pac-12 with their dumb scheduling for years where you put one of your best teams on a road game on a Thursday night or a Friday night. It's idiotic. Do not put your best teams or your players in a position to fail right out of the gate. So that drove me crazy, and now it's probably because they did that to Nadal, but now Joker came up lame, and he's going to miss the rest of the tournament.
Yeah.
I don't know how he won that 5-set match with torn meniscus.
It's crazy.
That's tough. That's a tough dude right there.
Well, I try to watch a lot of his matches. I enjoy watching him play. I'm not a big fan of him, but watching him play is...
Yeah, because he's unbelievable.
Yeah, he is. And it's fun to watch. But there was something that came up a couple of times last night that had me just... I was in disbelief. And my wife, who's a big-time tennis player, she's looking at this like, they must be crazy. They weren't using the Hawkeye system, which everybody around tennis understands. It's the video system that monitors the lines.
Yes.
I mean, they don't even need line judges anymore because the Hawkeye is so good, immediately calls up a picture of where the ball landed, in or out. No more arguments.
And it's 100% correct.
Yes. And McEnroe wouldn't even know what to do nowadays because there's no arguments on any of these line calls. They're either in or out, and that machine picks them up. Well, guess what they're doing in France? They're not using it.
Yeah.
That's just great.
Instead,
what do they do, Chad, to call the tough ones on the line?
They bring the Schmendrick, who's sitting up in that high chair, down on the court to point to the clay to show you where the ball went out.
Walk all the way to the end line, back there, and point to the dot on the ground in the clay where the ball hit. Now, there's about 1,000 little dots there, and that person is going to tell you exactly which one the ball landed in. And, oh, by the way, the spot the ball leaves isn't as big as the ball is because, of course, the whole ball doesn't submerge in the clay. So you get a smaller spot. So if it's right on the edge of the line, it probably was on the line because that spot's just not big enough to show that. So this is what you end up deciding professional major tennis tournaments.
It's absolutely ridiculous. When you have the technology available and you choose to go old school with the person in the high chair, I just think it's a very smug response to a major championship.
Well, it's France.
Yeah.
So smugness kind of goes with that.
No, it's like, you can picture them. They're like, oh, the hot guy, schmuck guy. That's beneath us. We use
Why should we do that when we can go down and look at the clay?
It's just dumb. I don't understand it. Like, you have availability of the technology now, which is terrific. And they've perfected it in tennis. It's not like they're, with the angle on pitches and the mound and everything where you're trying to perfect the little box that we have on our TVs.
Mm-hmm.
The Hawkeye system is foolproof.
Yeah.
You go to it. It shows you clearly if the ball was in or out. And there's no arguments. There's no reason to yell at someone. But having someone get out of the chair and walk over and point where they think the ball went out based on the mark that's on the clay, I mean, come on, Godfather. They got to be better than that, especially for a major championship.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Chad, the thing about it, all sports are using replay now. Tennis has the best one, and theirs has been around the longest.
Yeah.
But that Hawkeye is like infallible. It's never wrong. There's never an argument, and it's immediate. Unlike the other ones where you got to put headphones on, you got to do this and that, stand around, decide what it was. Boom. The decision is 5 seconds, not even 5 seconds. And in or out. Easy.
Why do you think so many of these sports leagues are resistant to using more technology to cover everything? Why is that? Because the NBA, what drives me crazy about the NBA is they can go back and look at a play and review it, like an out-of-bounds play. And if there was a foul that was committed during the course of that play, they can't change the call.
That's just stupid. Why else would you have replay? But to get it right, whatever that takes.
I mean, that's where I stand. Get it right. Same thing with football when we were talking about those old dudes with the sticks.
2 sticks and a chain calling first downs at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and you have some guy just hobbling out, trying to get out to the to market.
Yeah, when they rarely ask for a measurement, strangely enough.
Yeah, and you could use the technology to be able to clearly see if the guy did he cross the line to gain or not. It's very simple. I don't understand. It's beyond my understanding. And I would much rather, even if it requires a momentary delay, I just want the call to be right. Because I can live with that. If I look back at a game and I know that someone just butchered a call, it drives me insane because I'm like, they messed up the call. Like, I'm still angry about that Oklahoma-Oregon football game where on the onside kick. Yeah, I'll never get over that because the guy butchered the call. And then they went and replayed it, and they still butchered the call. How's that possible? I just don't understand it, man. Like in the NBA, we know that officials are going to miss calls or they're going to call bad calls or whatever. But on some of these out-of-bounds plays, or if you have a chance to review it and you can see and be able to correct the call that was wrong, then that's going to make the sport better.
And they don't give them enough challenges, in my opinion. I mean, you can use one in the first quarter, but if you do and you're wrong, you're out. You're just about done. And baseball has one thing right on their replay. If you challenge and you're right, you get the challenge back. And you should. Why should it cost you a challenge if you're correct?
Yeah. They do have on YouTube, I've seen this, which is awesome. There's a lot of what do they call him? The umpire? Who's the person who sits in the high chair? It's not the line judge. Who is that?
No, he's the umpire in tennis. You're talking about? Yeah, he's the umpire.
So the dude in the high chair, he reminds me of the guy when you're like trying to buy a car and you walk in, you got the sales guy, and then you walk in to talk to like the big
closer.
boss.
He's the
like,
closer.
He's sitting in a desk that's like 10 feet above the floor of the showroom. It's like, why are you way up there?
Yeah.
You're looking up at him. I don't like that whole dynamic. It's weird to me. That's what it reminds me of with the umpire.
The chair umpire, they call him.
Yeah. Well, on these YouTube videos, it's great that people pull this stuff. Like, even guys you wouldn't expect, like Roger Federer and some of these, guys, they don't show up because a lot of these don't have, like, television coverage. But there's times during a stoppage and play where Federer and some of these other tennis players, they're over there sitting down, wiping their sweat off and getting ready for the next set, just nonstop, just berating the umpire.
Oh, really?
Constantly just on them, like, you're terrible. How can you not see that? It's just on and on and on. They just don't let up. That could be one of the most thankless jobs in sports, the dude in the high chair.
Yeah.
I'm sure wouldn't the umpire want the use of Hawkeye? So that way you can
take the pressure off, right?
If you don't like the call, we can review it.
Yeah.
And then that way, because they're not going to get every call right, how can you possibly see, especially tennis balls that are moving that fast?
Yeah. These guys hit it way too fast.
Bombs. Absolute bombs.
Yeah.
So there's no way you can pick up on all that. So if you got the Hawkeye to get the play right, the call right, then everyone's happy moving forward. Because you don't expect the umpire to get everything right.
No.
And then, boom, you get the right call, you move on, and the players can stay focused on the task at hand. You're right. It would have taken away half the fun for McEnroe during the day if they would have had Hawkeye. He wouldn't have been able to yell at the ump. He probably still would have done it anyways, but, it's just a different game. I'm just a big fan of, you got technology. I mean, heck, we got gambling companies that can tell you if you're an athlete and you're thinking about wagering on your own sport, the gambling companies are going to find out. They're too good.
Yeah.
So we got the technology where they could track everything, but we can't get these sports figured out. Isn't that mind-boggling to you?
Yeah, it's totally mind-boggling. Why? Of course, all these sports are so tied into traditions and things like that. That's fine for a while, but we got to leave that behind at some point.
Yeah, especially, baseball. That's why I credit, it's hard to give the commissioner credit, but that's why I'm proud that they went to the pitch clock.
Yeah.
It's really hard for baseball to get out from the history and the tradition and, the meaning of the game and everything. I understand that because it's so important to our country, right? Because the game it's been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But they made big changes, drastic changes where they got a pitch clock now, and look how much better the game is because it flows and keeps moving quickly.
Right, and fans love it. There's no mistaking that. There's still a few grumps around, but most fans love it.
Yeah, and you go to a game now, and sometimes you're there for less than 3 hours.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Keep your night moving. I love that.
I do, too.
It's a win. I figured it would be good, but then when you see it in action, you're like, man, this is a good decision. They use technology. You've got the clock right here, pitcher. Hey, batter, get in the box. Pitcher, get up on the mound, throw the pitch, and let's keep things moving.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Pretty soon they're going to get the strike zone on the robot too.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Get the robot, and if then there will be no reason to yell at the umpire.
Yeah, Aaron Boone is not going to know what to do in the dugout, in the Yankee dugout.
Well, think about all the fun that Lou Piniella had with some of the classic showdowns at the plate.
Yeah. Lou is amazing. You know, and Lou hasn't called the show in a long time.
It's been a long time. We should probably have him check in.
Yeah, it's baseball season.
I haven't talked to my dad in a while, but my guess is that Lou still owes him golfing money. That'd be my guess.
Yeah. So let's get Lou on his cell phone.
You know he wants to talk baseball because whatever Anita's got him doing, he's not happy with. I'm certain of it.
He's got to get out of the house. Get in the car, talk to us on the phone.
I don't think he's, aside from the time he was stuck at the salon with Anita that one time, he was really upset about that. He's usually out at some baseball park scouting, even if he's not officially working for any team. He's always
watching
scouting.
Little League guys or something.
He's always scouting ball players.
Yeah.
I love Sweet Lou. Did you like covering him?
It was an experience, yeah. I was his clubhouse boy when he played for the Portland Beavers. 3 years in a row he was there. And
Did he remember you?
When I met him later on, no recollection at all. Meanwhile, other guys I was clubbing for, they go out of their way. Hey, yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
But not Lou. But that's Lou. He's a little focused on other things.
Yeah.
And not all of them were baseball either.
What was the bigger focus back in the day for Lou? Women or ball?
I should be what happens in the clubhouse stays in the clubhouse.
I respect that. I respect that. All right, when we come back, Dame sharing a good story about an MJ encounter, which I love.
Yeah.
I've been spending a little bit of time on MJ and the Bulls on YouTube lately. It's been nice. It's always nice to go back and watch games and remember, like, oh, yeah, that's how that was.
That kind of helps you on that LeBron versus MJ debate, too, doesn't it?
It does. I'll share some thoughts on what I've been picking up on. We're going to hear from Dame coming up next, talking about MJ and his aura. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, let's take a listen to Dame. You sent this over to me today. I think this is Dame talking about seeing MJ for the first time. This might have been back when they introduced the 75 greatest players.
I believe that's when it is, yes.
All right, let's take a listen to Damian Lillard talking about that experience and the aura of Michael Jordan.
They walking towards us. He wasn't even in there for the mission.
He just got there.
Everybody was just staring at him. He walked up and just took over the whole situation. That's when you really saw the difference. Man, this dude the GOAT.
Was that your first time meeting him? Because before you said you hadn't met Mike before.
I still ain't never met him.
You just looked at him.
I was standing next to Clyde, and I just was staring at him because all the lights was on him and Jordan. The whole time, I ain't say nothing. I just was looking like Then they lined us up, and we all walked out.
And when Mike walked out, it
that
seemed
was
like
different.
It seemed like the volume just went up for some reason on my TV. How loud.
I was looking around at everybody. When he came out, it was unreal. How loud it was. If you looked around the arena, it was nothing but stars there. And how they even was looking at him. They felt small, too. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was just, it's Jordan. This dude is, shit, he everything to everybody. Yeah. It was obvious when he walked out in the crowd just...
There's Damian Lillard talking about the great Michael Jordan. And what I love about that is, one, Dame didn't feel the need to go over and talk to him because he was just starstruck by MJ.
Yeah.
But what I love about this, Dwight, is that is true star power right there. That's not MJ trying to tell you how great he is or how he's the greatest of all
never
time.
Never had to do that. He's never tried to do that.
No. He just went out and applied himself and became the GOAT. And everyone respects him as such, and he hasn't had to go around telling everyone that he's the greatest of all time. He's never said it. He's never going to say it. He'll let people decide where he fits all time, but that's true star power. And you know what guy's a true star when other greats are like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's big time right there.
Yeah. The other great players were on bended knee. I mean, that's greatness. That's what greatness looks like right there. And nobody has to build it up or anything. You just see it with your own eyes.
Yeah. I heard Terrell Brandon. I was watching a YouTube video last night, and he was talking about this game he was playing at the Boston Garden. And this is when he was with the Cavaliers. Brandon got to start with the Cavs back in the day. And this is during the postseason. And they're out there on the floor practicing at the old Garden Godfather. And like he normally did, they're like, wait, what's that noise up there? And this is long before the game was going to start. And Larry Bird is upstairs on the concourse of the Boston Garden doing his laps, getting his run in before the game. That's what he did. And because of his greatness, all the other players on the Cavs were on the floor looking up, watching Larry Bird run laps around the garden. And they're all tripping out like, what's he doing that for? Why is he up there? Is he playing mind games with us? It's like, no, it's not mind games. He's just getting his pregame run in, which is pretty awesome. But, again, that's what greatness is all about. And I love that.
Yeah.
Especially from a guy like Dame. Now, I have been watching a lot of old basketball games of late. I went through recently and watched a lot of 1990 Trailblazer games. I watched that series with San Antonio, including the Game 7, which I have no idea how they won that series, but they did. And it reminded me of how great and impactful Clyde Drexler was. The way he could impact a game in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Not just by scoring, but he did so many different things, and he was truly amazing out in the open floor. And also, those teams moved the ball really well under Rick Adelman, so that was impressive. I also watched the dreaded Game 6 in 91 against the Lakers down at the Forum when Clifford Robinson had a pass right in his mitts, which he could have dunked, and the Blazers probably win the game, but he blew it, and the Lakers ended up winning. His Magic threw the ball over his back, and time ran out. I don't know how Clifford Robinson dropped that ball. Like, it's just one of those things where, like, it's – you knew it was bad when it happened, but you go back and watch it, you're like, that was really bad.
Yeah. It was terrible.
It was terrible. But did a bunch of Larry Bird games, and I've done some Laker games, but now I'm diving into the 96 Bulls, watching a lot of MJ games. And, you know, I grew up and watched, you know, the whole era, so I'm well-versed in MJ, but it's been a while since I've watched some regular, just full-length games, not highlights. And, you know, especially that 96 year where he really put in the work in the offseason to return to the top. He was amazing. He's so much better than what you think he is. And for the people who haven't seen him, go to YouTube. The games are there. You can watch pretty much any game you want. Just pull it up and watch it. But what I noticed in the 96 team, a couple of things jumped out. One, that was later in MJ's career, so he was very comfortable involving his teammates.
Yeah.
He would still take over if he had to, but he was getting guys involved. So that was impressive. And then also Tony Kukoc was such a great basketball player who had the IQ and the skill set. He could do anything on the floor. And had he not played with Scotty and Michael and Dennis Rodman, he would have gotten a lot more credit for how great he was. But it took MJ and Scotty a while to warm up to him because they considered him Jerry Krause's boy, and therefore they hated him.
Yeah.
They were irritated.
That was still an era, too, where European players did not get respect until they came into the league and earned it.
That's right. So, yeah, MJ is, I mean, in my mind, if you're comparing him to LeBron, and to me, there's just no comparison. Like, MJ's on a different level.
Yeah.
The consistency and the ease in which he operated out there, facing multiple defenders night in and night out, it still blows me away.
Yeah, and he had a certain beauty to his game, a fluidity that was kind of unmatched. And that was the thing. I'd always see him, and then I'd watch LeBron, and he got a lot of the same things done, but it always looked so mechanical.
Yeah.
You know, it just didn't look like he had the kind of grace and body control that Jordan had.
The other thing that jumps out, especially in that 96 team when the Bulls won, 72 games, which is impressive. That was MJ changed his game. Like in his early days, in the early 80s when he came in, I mean, he was a high flyer, attacked the rim. But as time went on, he realized that, to protect his body, and obviously you don't get more athletic as you get into your 30s or your mid-30s. You got to change your game. And so he did, and he developed more of a perimeter game. He was great with the post-up and the fadeaway. But he became a better outside shooter. He just found different ways to still dominate the game, but he would pick his spots on when to attack the rim.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that with a lot of great players over time. They develop and add different things to their game so they can adjust and continue to play. Bird did the same thing. He really perfected the fadeaway and found a way to become a productive high post passer because as time went on and his body began to break down, he couldn't play it the same way as he used to. That's what I like about greats. They adjust as time goes on to continue to find ways to impact the game.
You mentioned that Game 7 versus San Antonio. That was at Memorial Coliseum, and I was there.
One of the most exciting games of their entire playoff run for those 3 straight years.
That was an incredible game, and I remember I was walking out of the Coliseum. My story was done, all finished. I was walking out just at the same time the Spurs coaching staff came out of their locker room, and we exited the same exit. And I looked at Larry Brown, and I immediately felt so sorry for that man. He had coached his tail off in that game, and it all came undone basically with the one bad pass that Rod Strickland threw out of bounds that gave the Blazers a chance to win the game, really. And I said something to Larry, and he just shook his head, and, he was so down. And that was Larry Brown, up and down, but a great coach. I don't care what anybody says about him. Great coach. And wow, the Blazers took him to the cleaners that night.
Wow.
They beat him.
That was a great game. I would recommend go back and watch that. Game 7, Spurs and Trailblazers in the semis.
Kersey was good.
Yeah. Oh.
Buck was good.
Oh.
They had a great game.
And Rod Strickland was good.
Yeah.
Sports is a cruel game sometimes, Godfather.
Yes, it was.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the Rip City Drive. Dwight and Chad, Hops tickets for you are next. All right, it's 5 o'clock. Chad is here. The NBA Finals are set to kick off on Thursday. It's the Mavericks and Celtics from TD Garden in Boston. The Celtics favored by 6.5 in Game 1. 5:30 tip on ABC. The Women's College World Series is all set. Oklahoma top Florida today, 6-5 in extras. It'll be Oklahoma and Texas. Best 2 out of 3. First pitch in Game 1 tomorrow, 5 o'clock ESPN. The Sooners are seeking their 4th consecutive championship. In baseball, the Oregon Ducks will meet Texas A&M at College Station on Saturday. That first pitch at 11 on ESPN. Oregon State will face Kentucky down in Lexington. That first pitch at 3. Pregame at 2:30. It's on 1190 KX. Mike Parker, the great, will have the call. The 49ers and Christian McCaffrey agree to an extension 2 years, averaging $19 million per season. This feels a lot like George Michael coming out of the gate here, Shacker. You trying to send me a message, Shacker? No message?
Oh, it's just got a good beat.
It
You
does
should
have
have
a
been
great
on
beat.
Name That Tune, man. You picked these up really quick.
Yeah, this song's recognizable. I think this is also in Beverly Hills Cop 2, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Where Axel Foley took Sergeant Taggart and Detective Rosewood to one of the local establishments.
Mm-hmm.
This album by Michael Faith, that's a pretty good album.
I wouldn't know.
You're not a George Michael fan?
No, not really.
Huh, that's a problem.
Not for me, it is.
That's a bad take, Godfather.
Not for me, it's not
That's
a problem.
a room temperature take right there. Okay, let's go out to the phones, and then we're going to give away 4-pack of tickets for the Hops. We'll do that in a moment. Let's go out to West Lynn. Let's talk with Paul. He wants to share his thoughts on Instant Replay. Paul, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Thank you. Well, first of all, George Michael, in all seriousness, phenomenal, amazing voice, gone too soon, totally underappreciated. Dwight, you got to get to know his catalog. You know, I had good memories there of the Game 7. I remember that very vividly against the Spurs. I remembered it because it was an afternoon game.
Yes,
it was cool coming out of the Coliseum and having been sunshine outside, and not pitch darkness. Duckworth played well too in that game against David Robinson.
Yeah, his former team. Yeah.
My point about instant replay is, I can tie it in nicely with this '90s basketball. You talked about Jordan, of course, having a fluidity to his game, and that's what's very frustrating to me as a longtime fan of the NBA. I think instant replay has done a huge disservice to the game. It's taken away the rhythm, the flow, the energy. I mean, you've been in all those Coliseum games. You know, if there's a bad call, it spurs on the, I guess pun intended, spurs the fans to cheer and motivate the players to play harder. And there's this organic energy that's created by humans. Either it's a human's bad call or humans clapping. I just feel that in today's day and age, technology is ruining things for humans. We want that humanistic experience. And having robots call strikes and balls, why not have robots hit the balls and robots pitch the balls? I want a human experience. I would take the fiddler coming out of a Blazer break, getting the crowd going, then pumped in techno music, blasting my ears out. People want the human experience, and so I will respectfully disagree on instant replay and having all of this robots involved. I like the human aspect.
All right, appreciate that phone call, Paul. Did they used to have a fiddler at Blazer games?
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was good. He had a microphone on his fiddle, a wireless mic, and he played. I think it sometimes gave the wrong impression of Portland because it was it was pretty much old-time kind of
honky-tonk type stuff?
No, it was more bluegrass, country kind of stuff that, I don't know. It wasn't my kind of music, put it that way, but he was very good at it, and the fans seemed to like it. It's funny how these things get left behind over the years, and they don't use them anymore. It's like the blimp. Nobody even hardly remembers that. Since the tragic crash of the blimp in the upper deck.
I do think I don't need. Well, I grew up in a different era too. I mean, they used to have the old organ man at Boston Garden, between breaks. I don't need the constant, techno music being played during actual gameplay.
I agree.
That gets a little bit tired, but whatever. The fiddler, though, I would like to see a guy roll out with a fiddle sometime and start bumping around.
I bet you can find that on YouTube. Somebody's probably got something
but,
on there.
But where do you come out? I think the most important thing you talked about is, this. What did he put? How did he put it? Everyone wants a humanistic experience.
I want the calls to be right. I want the team to walk out of there knowing that they got a fair shake.
I mean, you can have basically sex with a robot now, so why can't we use technology to get calls right in games? Well, where do you come out on that? Because some people do feel that way. It's like, hey, humans, right? They're going to make mistakes. If they get a call wrong, whatever, you move on. Like, to me, it's like, I don't like that.
Some of them make too many mistakes.
Yeah.
Kind of ruins the game. You've walked out of games that way feeling, man, that team got cheated.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had my team get completely hosed, and I'm just bitter about it.
Yeah. That's not a good feeling.
Where you can watch the replay and be like, hey, idiots, it's wrong.
Yeah.
Get it right.
How could you have missed it?
I know. It's just mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
So if we know that people are going to miss calls because they are human, then why not have the proper technology to back them up, to make sure they get it right?
Yeah, you got to have a backup. Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you're talking about, there's a lot of money involved in these sports now. It's big-time sports.
And people are betting on them.
And people are betting on them. And we'll get to the shenanigans with Maccaro or whatever that guy's name is.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just bet. He was betting repeatedly.
Yeah, and poorly.
Yeah, and not a very good bettor either.
Yeah.
That's my experience. Most people are like, oh, yeah, I'm doing really well. In other words, they're getting their clock cleaned by the house.
Especially the ones that tell you they're doing well.
The more you tell me you win, the more I know you're getting your butt kicked.
Yeah, the guys that win, they don't say much.
No, they don't say a peep because they feel like they're getting over on life and they don't want to give up their secrets. Let's go out to Ralph in Portland. Ralph, appreciate the phone call. You're up on the Rip City Drive. What's on your mind?
Hey, guys, I got a comment and then, two related questions. So everyone I talk to, they're just over Jody Allen. That's not new news, but really ready to turn the page on the Blazers. Let's get some new ownership. But then the question is so then there's all this WNBA talk, right? It's really popular right now. Does Portland need to sell to unlock a WNBA franchise? Like, is no one going to come in and be like a co-tenant or a tenant to Vulcan with Jody? And with all this talk of today of all these rumors for a new Seattle ownership group, like how many people are in the market for an NBA team? And is Seattle or Vegas going to use up all those available billionaires that would be interested in buying a team, or are they going to be attracted to Portland and Jody Allen?
Okay, that's a good phone call, Ralph. I appreciate that. We'll start with a couple of different things. One, so what I've heard on the WNBA to Portland is that Portland is still very much alive for a WNBA team.
Yes.
And from what you and I uncovered, the gentleman, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, who was in line to be the owner, I think he had a bunch of money, made a fortune off of his stock for some type of medical something during COVID. Well, his stock took a dive recently, and therefore he was no longer in a position to be the owner of the WNBA team in Portland.
Right.
Now, I do and have heard from a pretty good source that it's the family that's taken over the Thorns, that family could be in line to be involved in the next WNBA team in town.
I still think there's a real good chance they're getting a team here.
And
the Blazer sale has really nothing to do with that.
No, the Blazer sale has nothing to do with it, but I do know for a fact that the Blazers they're supportive of having a WNBA team in Portland. So the Blazers are not going to try and restrict anything like that. They want it to happen because they know it's going to be good for everyone to have a WNBA team in town. So I think it should happen, assuming that the ownership group will be in a position to be able to make that happen. But the Blazers are supportive in the idea of having a WNBA team here in town.
And it's not necessarily likely that the owners of the NBA team would be the owners of the WNBA.
That is correct. And I've also heard
most markets that's not the case.
That's right. And in addition to not only being supportive, but I think the Blazers were willing to put off some of the renovations at Moda.
Right, for 2 years.
For 2 years in order to have a place for the new WNBA team to play.
Mm.
So that's a very good thing.
Yeah. The other question about running out of potential buyers, I will say this: when word got out that they were going to be for sale, I had heard there were at least 10 groups interested.
You talking about the Blazers being for sale?
Yes. There are plenty of people in today's world, a lot of these young rich guys that want to be a part of any sport.
Yes, finding two groups to purchase and buy into the revenue sharing and whatever they got to do to become an NBA owner. Finding two groups or two individuals to make that happen when they expand to Seattle and Vegas, not going to be a problem.
No,
and
there's plenty of people.
And you and I have been on this for a long time. The NBA is not going to allow the Trailblazers to move from Portland to Seattle.
Right.
Seattle will get a team, but it's not going to be the Blazers. It will be an expansion team.
And most people already know what that group's going to be in Seattle. And there's a reason that a certain company put a lot of money into renovating Key Arena. And it wasn't just for the hockey team. It was for the basketball team.
Is it going to be Amazon?
I don't believe so, no.
Who's the group?
I think it's the group headed by Wally Walker.
Oh, Wally Walker.
Yeah, he has a group. And I would assume that will be the one. And I keep hearing that the Vegas franchise is going to go to a group it'll be fronted by somebody else, but eventually it will belong to LeBron James. He wants an NBA team. He wants it in Las Vegas. Surprise, surprise. And he can't be an owner if he's still playing. So somebody else will have that. And then when he retires, surprisingly, he'll buy into that franchise.
Yet another thing that MJ has done to open up avenues for other players, becoming the first former player to become a majority owner in a professional sports team.
Yeah, for sure.
And everyone's like, oh, he failed. He couldn't build a team. Well, maybe MJ looks at it like I was the first former player to become a majority owner in a team. That is what I call a success. That's how I define it.
And the real success is how much money he made when he sold the team.
Oh, nice little chunk. Yeah. More money to have more time to play golf.
Yeah.
Let's go out to Tony in Boring. Oh, by the way, Tony, happy early birthday. I think you're going to be celebrating number 50 this weekend, dog.
Yeah, that's my time. Yours is coming, buddy.
I know. I'm just a little over a year away from that. But, man, congrats, buddy. That's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, we almost made it. Godfather's just laughing, going, yeah, you kids.
Yeah, you are. For sure.
He is. He's shaking his head right now in disgust.
What's up, Tony?
Well, I finished the Tom Brady roast. I haven't watched a roast since the Justin Bieber one. I think it was close to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely mind-boggling to me that if you put something in a venue, you can basically get laughs or you could get killed, depending on where you're saying it. It's just I mean, racism, sexism, homophilia, pedophilia, Hitler, Holocaust, like all that stuff's covered. And you say that somewhere else, and you might be beaten to death. It just blows my mind. I mean, I don't know what you guys felt about it. You know, I mean, Chris Rock's kind of a small example of, you know, you say something in the wrong venue, and you know something's going to happen to you. But you can go to a roast and say whatever you want. You're back in 1960.
Yeah, that we'll you know, Dwight, Tony, we weren't the only ones.
Oh yeah,
it was over the top.
It was. Look, I swear occasionally. I'll tell a dirty joke once in a while. That thing was way over the top for me. It was too much for me. It really was.
You like a occasional dirty joke?
Yeah.
What kind of bees make milk?
Well, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to make you say it.
Boobies.
Yeah.
That's my dirty joke for the day.
Thank you, Chad. 5th grade level, but all right.
I'll be here all week, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, unfortunately. But you won't be here all week. You're leaving.
That's true. I'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. We have a 4-pack of tickets for your Hillsboro Hops, your chance to sit in the Rip City Radio Row. And that's right. Sit in the Rip City Radio Row. It's Hops Ticket Tuesday. This game will be on June 14th. If you'd like to go and get a 4-pack of tickets, first caller through at 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Fire away right now, and you'll get a 4-pack of tickets for the Hops. When we come back, We'll dive into this MLB gambling scandal here in the Rip City Drive. This right here would be my favorite Men at Work song, Godfather. And I'm a big fan of Colin Hay. And as you know, he was part of the Ringo All-Star Band when I saw them down in Vegas.
Yeah.
He was my favorite part of the show. I absolutely
Really?
adore the guy, yeah. His vocals, he still sounds great. But this song here is pretty good. I think this might be off the Cargo album, if my memory serves correct.
Your memory is always correct.
Nice work, Shacker. Thank you. He redeemed himself after playing some of that death metal stuff that he drops on us once in a while. But that's okay.
Yeah, that's the price we pay. One or two of those a day. That's all right.
Music is a beautiful thing. Beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's like one of those things where, like, pretty much every person likes some form of music. In fact, Rick Beato, our boy on YouTube, he's got a new What Makes This Song Great. It's I just listened to the first couple of minutes during a break, last hour, and it's on The Police Walking on the Moon, which, of course, is a great song.
Yeah.
Dude, how good is Sting? Like, Sting is that guy's a
Still
freaking
good.
stud. Gosh, he's so good.
Yeah.
I would say that I have a man crush on Sting. He's one of the guys I wish I could be him for a day. Because when I look at great men, like I look at Sting, I'm like, what can he not do? He's still in incredible shape. He's got great vocals, incredible musician, great songwriter, incredibly handsome. And the guy's just cool, man. He is a cool dude.
Yeah.
I'm totally down with Sting. All right, we got to talk about this this gambling mess. I love these athletes.
You shouldn't laugh, Chad.
It is funny, though.
It is.
It's like, look, if you think you can get over and not be detected by the authorities that are looking at everything, like Vegas knows everything that's going on. They know. These companies they brought in to coordinate with the sports leagues to make sure that they know exactly what's going on with the players and that everything is above board is amazing. So if you think you're going to get away with something,
You're not.
You're not. You're done. And if you think a family member can place a bet for you, they can't because you'll get caught.
Yeah. It's just, their defense mechanism is incredible. And I would hope that ball players, athletes are seeing this and realizing how hard it is to get away with a stupid bet that you probably aren't going to win anyway.
All right. This is from Jason Stark, and he posted the official ruling that came down from Major League Baseball. I want to read through this because it's pretty awesome. And this is for the San Diego Padre, Tucupita Marcano. He has been declared permanently ineligible for violating Major League Baseball's sports betting rules and policies, including Rule 21D-2. Betting data shows that from October 16th, 2022 through October 23rd, 2022, and from July 12th, 2023 through November 1st, 2023, Marcano placed 387 baseball bets, including 231 Major League Baseball related bets, among other bets on international baseball games through a legal sports book. Marcano's MLB bets were generally parlays, which would sometimes include multiple MLB-related legs, and they would sometimes include MLB-related legs and non-MLB legs. In total, Marcano bet more than $150,000 on baseball, with $87,319 on that on MLB-related bets, an average of approximately $378 per bet. Of the over 200 MLB bets Marcano placed over this period, 25 of those bets included Pirates game while he was assigned to the Pirates Major League Club. Marcano did not appear in any of the games on which he placed bets. However, because all Marcano's Pirate-related bets and the vast majority of his bets overall occurred during the period after he suffered a season-ending knee injury on July 24, 2023, and was receiving medical treatment at PNC Park. Consistent with Marcano's overall baseball betting activity, almost all of Marcano's Pirate bets were on which club the Pirates or their opponent would win the game or whether they would be more or less a certain number of runs scored in the game. Ultimately, Marcano lost all of his parlays involving the Pirates, only won 4.3% of all his Major League-related baseball bets overall. 4.3%. The guy plays Major League Baseball, and he sucks at picking winners.
He's a loser. That guy is a loser.
He risked everything to be a 4.3% winner, which means you're a loser in the gambling world.
Oh, man.
That's incredible. There is no evidence to suggest, and Marcano denies that any outcomes in the baseball games in which he placed bets were compromised, influenced, or manipulated in any way. Well, of course he's going to deny that. Did you manipulate anything? No, of course not. Why would I do that?
Of course, if he's not playing in the games, it would be difficult for him to do that.
Unless, of course, he's asking one of his teammates to take a dive on a,
Yeah.
on a pop fly
Yeah,
or something.
I'll split my winnings with you. I win 4.3% of the time.
Well, I would like to say that this is probably the last time we're going to see this type of activity, but it's not, Godfather.
No.
Here is
More
my
to
concerns. This is the problem with legalization of things that I would consider to be risque behavior. The problem is, well, number one, we know we're not going to know right away, but down the line, we're going to know at some point the impact of legalizing marijuana. It's easily available. People are smoking it and smoking it all the time now. My guess is there's a lot younger individuals, probably less than 18, who are smoking marijuana now.
And the edibles,
Yes.
which are real easy to
So we'll
pop.
find out the impact long term of what this created in terms of being a gateway drug. Also, the potential mental illness that could come from using too much marijuana. So we'll find out on that. But the same thing would apply to gambling, where once the feds decided to put it on the states and let them decide what you want to do in your state, do you want to have it, sports betting be legal or not? Well, of course, the states are going to pretty much embrace it and go open season on the gambling because they all see the ridiculous revenue streams that can come in through the gambling.
Yeah,
Like
to
we
them,
saw-
it's free money.
Free money.
Yeah.
And they've already got state lotteries. So what are they going to do? Be like, oh, we're above, sports gambling. Well, of course not, because they want to tax it and they know they're going to get serious revenue streams. And politicians can't resist the urge to have more money or access to more money to fund whatever programs or this or that they want to they fund.
Yeah. Boondoggles, whatever else they want
Yeah,
to
I mean,
fund.
politicians are all the same. They all want a hand in the pie, and they all love to have funds and everything. So we know how it works. And we saw, I think the report was last week where it was New York, I think, they put like a 51% tax on the, bets that are being placed in the
Yeah.
state of New York.
Yeah.
Good gracious. Good gravy, Godfather.
Even when you win, you can't win. I mean, that's ridiculous.
All right, so the real question would be this: what is the best way? Because I don't put this on the sports leagues, right? There are a lot of things that are legal. There are a lot of things you can do, but at the end of the day, we all have to make individual choices of what you can and can't do, and what's good and what's not good, and you've got to be responsible for your own actions. So while they opened up Pandora's box, see, the problem is when it's available and it's easily accessible, more people are going to do it, or maybe they're not going to see the harm in it, and it's going to tempt professional sports players to do things. They still have to make the right decisions. So I don't put this on the sports leagues. I still think it comes down to an individual choice. But what is the best way for these leagues to make sure that they have very few of these type of instances pop up in the future? How do you do it?
Well, there has to be a deterrent, and that's punishment. And you saw one player today receive the ultimate punishment. First guy since Pete Rose to be
You get the
banned
death
for life.
penalty. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. So that's part of a deterrent there. And I think as we see how hard it is to get away with it, that's a great deterrent too. I think players, only the real dum-dums are going to get caught gambling now. It's just not worth trying. They're not good enough at it, for one thing, unless they fix a game or something. And that takes the whole thing to a higher level. I don't think we're going to see that either.
Yeah, so I think the key for the sports leagues is, one, making sure that you continue to educate and put the information out there, working from the very top in the league office, and have it decipher out to all the teams. So everyone is on the same page. You're communicating the same information, so the players are getting a repeated they're getting it hammered over their heads. You cannot wager on baseball. You cannot wager on baseball. If you play football, you cannot wager on NFL games. And they've got to continue to do that, have the rules posted, make sure you know. And I think you're right. The death penalty, dropping the hammer on people who violate. So, like, if you do this, there's not going to be a second chance. You're done. That is the ultimate deterrent.
I agree.
Because people always ask me, like, well, why would athletes do that? They already make enough money. Look, human beings, they're all the same. Everyone's always looking for more money. Regardless of what you do for work, people are always looking for more. The temptation for green it's strong.
And just the action, right?
The action. I just want some action. A lot of these athletes, they work on a different adrenaline octane level than we do, where they're used to competing all the time. They're playing card games. They're playing this. They're playing pool. Whatever they're doing, they're with their teammates most of the time. They're competing.
Yeah.
And they're crazy about it. That's what they do. That's part of what made them great is that they're freak competitors, right? Like John Elway had a pool table in his crib until one of his teammates beat him. The next day, he sold that thing. He got rid of it.
Really?
He's like, okay, I'm done with you, pool table. He got rid of it. These guys are ultra competitive. You know, you covered the NBA for years. The card games on NBA planes, legendary.
Yeah.
With big stakes.
Yeah.
That have caused team issues at times because of money that is owed after those games are played.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you imagine playing poker on a plane with a teammate and not paying him? How would that go over in the locker room?
It wouldn't go over well at all.
Ooh, yeah.
It would be a serious problem.
Yeah.
So this is the issue now. And the part that scares me, because of my history, like you can gamble too easy now, right from the palm of your hand in your phone. Sign up, get an account, boom. They usually give you free bets. You place your bets, you get things going, and then before you know it, you're 2 minutes later. You can do it like you and I could both sign up and have a bet placed in a matter of moments.
Yeah.
And then you get a player who's injured, and you know what it's like to be injured in pro sports.
Mm-hmm.
You're away from the team. You're rehabbing alone. You're pulled out of the normal, daily bustle and hustle of practicing and playing and being with your guys. You get bored. You got too much free time in your hands. So what do? Well, I like my guys. I think I'll bet on them tonight. And then before you know it, boom, you're done. That's how it goes down. It's too easy. Too easy, Godfather.
Yeah, it's very easy, and that's what's causing a problem already. I mean, we keep hearing about these guys in sports. I can't imagine what it's doing to marriages, to kids. Like, I worry about college kids because they were betting when I was in college. A lot of guys loved to play whatever they could legally or illegally. They had bookies. There were guys in the dorms making book on games.
Yeah.
I mean, they love to bet. And now, as easy as it is, oh, my.
That's how I first got the bug was in the locker room at high school where we would play quarters, where one guy drops a quarter down and then the next person flips a quarter down. And if you match what's showing, if a heads is showing and you match it, you get to keep the quarters. If you don't, the other guy gets to keep the quarters. That's how it started for me. I was like, this is a great game. So we would play quarters all the time. And sometimes it sucked because I'd walk out of the locker room $5 lighter than what I went in with. $5 back then was a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
So that's what it's going to come down to. Education. You got to pound it into these guys' heads. I've heard from players who have been a part of it. Like a lot of times, the guys go to the rookie symposiums or whatever. A lot of guys aren't really paying attention.
Yeah, they sleep through them.
Yeah, they're not really paying attention to everything that's being offered up. But the league's got to pound it into these guys' head because you're going to have more situations like this. That's the danger of it, Godfather.
Yeah, and the league's got into bed with all the gambling companies and the casinos and all of that, and it's made things more complicated. It really has.
Who do you blame? Is it on the sports leagues for getting involved with the gambling companies?
Well, I think that is a problem, and I don't think it's a good thing for the leagues to do. But I think it's every person's responsibility not to break the rules.
Yeah. It's like if you're going to play pro sports, here's the deal. You can't bet on our league.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things you can't do. You sign that contract and start looking at all the things. You a skier? No, not in the off season. You're not. Some of them say, hey, no skateboarding, no whatever, things you might like to do.
Yeah.
But you give up things for all that money. That's a condition of the job. We have conditions of this job, things we can or can't. Well, at least things we shouldn't do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I remember there was a commercial when I was living in Colorado. Elway, there were certain things he couldn't do based on his contract as a quarterback of the Broncos. Skiing would be one of those. So he did a commercial once where he's like, yeah, I'm heading out to Breckenridge this week. And he was like in a limo that was on top of the mountain, He wasn't skiing, but it's like, this is how I have to take in the mountain because you're not allowed to do that. There's certain things. We've seen players before they get injured doing something they're not supposed to do, so they lie about how the injury happened because they don't want the contract to become void.
Yeah, I was just shooting baskets, yeah. That's how I broke my leg.
So weird, man. The hoop came down on top of my leg. I don't know what happened here. I don't know. It's too easy. The technology and how easily accessible it is.
You can lose a lot of money real fast.
Yeah. Real fast. Real fast. And it's easy. I mean, it's one thing when you used to have to go to a casino, or if you wanted to get a legal bet in, you have to go find your bookie, or you got to go to Vegas. But now you don't need any of that. You just grab your phone.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think there's something wrong with that.
Still, I think the best part of this Marcano story is he won 4.3% of his Major League Baseball bets.
And then he lost his job for life.
Yeah, good call.
A job that was making him, even as a borderline player, I think somebody said he had $1 million contract he had to give up.
Yeah. Good job, dum-dum. Was that worth it?
Probably not.
Remember my dad used to ask me that, was it worth it? Well, not right now because you're handing out the discipline.
Now he'd be lucky to get a job as an Uber driver.
There haven't been too many times in my life where I do something dumb where I look back after getting in trouble where I'm like, well, I'm glad I did that. Most of the time it's like, what an idiot.
No. Gosh.
Did your dad ever ask you that? Was that worth it?
No, he knew it wasn't.
Yeah, he didn't have to ask. He just knew.
And I was the kind of kid who probably said, oh, yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't.
Sometimes my dad's a very logical thinker, smart. He's never done anything dumb. He would look at me sometimes and be like, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
I have no idea, Dad.
I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
There was no thought. I just went with it. All right, we'll come back and we're going to hand out some high fives, but also we'll take a little look at this new Clippers documentary. I can't believe that you met Donald Sterling. You actually had a chance to sit down next to him at courtside.
Yes.
You going to share that story for us?
I didn't sit down. We were standing up. He stood up to shake my hand.
All right, you were standing up. He stood up. He was sitting down, then stood up when you came over.
Yes. Total respect from Don Sterling.
Did you know he was a creepo back then?
I did. I knew he was quirky.
Quirky, yeah.
He was very quirky.
All right, we got that coming up next. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, high five time here on the Rip City Drive. Michael Shacker, do you have any high fives you want to hand out today?
I want to give one to you because you made a joke where the pun was boobies.
Thank you. That might be the first high five I've received on the show. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, that one came fairly cheap, I would say that. But you got one.
My daughter likes that joke. You got any high fives you want to hand out, Godfather?
Yeah, I got to give one to Ben Gulliver. That guy, he's the best guest. He's so good, and he's so responsive to us. He remembers his roots. He started here, and it's his home. And we're always happy to talk to Ben. He's so knowledgeable.
All right. I should probably hand one out to the Oklahoma Sooners. Check out this run for Oklahoma softball here, Godfather. 3 straight national championships. They kick off the championship series tomorrow against Texas for a chance to make it 4 straight, which has never been done before. They've won 5 of the last 7 national championships, 5 straight Women's College World Series finals appearances. They've made the finals 9 of the last 12 years. They have a 71-game win streak from 23 to 24, and they have 118 wins in their last 126 games.
Wow.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. Donald Sterling, the banished owner, the late owner of the Clippers, who had the franchise taken away from him for being a bad guy and a racist. You actually had a chance to shake his hand once. What went down back in the old days at the, I guess that'd be the LA Sports Arena, the LA Sports Coliseum or whatever it was?
This was the LA Sports Arena, a real dump. But, I was covering the Blazers and the Clippers down there, and their PR guy came over to me in the second quarter, and I was watching the game. It was a timeout, and he tapped me on the shoulder. He says, "Hey, Dwight, I need to ask a favor." And I thought, yeah, okay. Usually it's the writer asking the PR guy for a favor, but yeah. And it was a PR guy I knew. Joe Safety was there quite a while, and I think it was Joe in those days. And he had been with the Pirates as the PR guy, and so I knew him a little bit. And he said, our owner, Don Sterling, this season wants to meet as many of the visiting writers as he can. And if you'd go over at halftime, I'd be indebted to you. I would really appreciate it. And I said, man, Joe, I write at halftime. And he said, well, I don't understand. But he said, can you do it as a favor to me? Because I'll probably get in trouble if I can't get you over there. And I said, sure. And you put it that way. Absolutely. Yeah.
You were trying to take care of your guy.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was going to be that big a deal. And so at halftime, he marches me around the court, and we go over there, and Don Sterling stands up. And, of course, I knew who he was. He said, hi, Don Sterling. And he said, who are you with, Dwight? I said, with the Oregonian. Well, great. Nice to meet you. And that was pretty much it. He just wanted to, make sure he met all the visiting writers so he could put a name with a face, I guess. But then he said, well, meet my friend here, Wilt Chamberlain. And I had met Wilt before somewhere along the line in post-game interview, I think. And Wilt, thankfully, didn't stand up. He stayed seated, which was good.
It made you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, he was still about the same height. Our heads were about the same spot. But, I chatted with Wilt for a while, and always a good guy with the media. And he did look like, though, that he felt like he was in prison sitting down there next to Don Sterling.
Yeah.
But he often came to Clipper games and liked to watch them play. And so I talked to Will. But that was my very brief meeting with Donald Sterling and the kind of quirky circumstances involved with it.
Really weird. Shacker, where's this new documentary on the Clippers going to drop?
It's not a documentary. It's scripted television. It's on FX. They're releasing 2 episodes a week. 2 episodes released yesterday.
Yeah.
Have you watched any of it yet?
No, it's just dropping tonight.
Okay.
First 2 episodes. Al Bundy is playing Donald Sterling.
Okay, I have no clue when it airs. I watch it on Hulu. It just showed up this morning.
But I know.
It's there now, Mike?
Yeah, it was there this morning.
But Shacker told me why he's watching it. He loves Al Bundy.
Yeah.
And we'll watch anything with Al Bundy. That's pretty much why you're in on this, right, Shacker?
Yeah. I've watched multiple shows. I mean, before he did Modern Family, in between Married with Children, he also did the reboot of Dragnet.
Yeah.
And he was also on a show on HBO. I mean, he's acted on quite a few shows, but that Modern Family money, why is he working?
Yeah, because he likes it. I'll tell you that our guy, Kelly Acoyne, He's in it too. He plays Rosser, the general manager of the Clippers. And you may not recognize him because I think he's probably got some hair on his head this time for this role. But it's a perfect role for Kelly because he loves basketball. And I'm sure Andy Rosser was a guy that he probably got to meet and chat a bit about the role.
Yeah, I have visions of Kelly O'Coin begging for this role. Well, like other actors, they just have to work. But it's like,
yeah.
It seems like this is a part that he would want.
He did. Yeah, he is very pleased to be in it. He's been telling me for months how good he thinks the piece is going to be really good.
Here's some of the first-round picks from the 80s from the LA Clippers. Michael Cage in 84. Also in 84, Lancaster Gordon. He was from Louisville.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Other first-round picks in 85, Benoit Benjamin.
Awful.
Man, he was a bust. Big-time bust. Let's see here. 87, Ken Norman.
Oh, man. He was a dirty player, too. He hurt Kersey once on a dunk, undercut him.
Also in 87, out of the first round, Joe Wolf. Not much of a player.
I remember Joe.
He played in Denver for a bit, went
he
to
was
North
in
Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah.
Another guy out of Georgetown, Reggie Williams, who also went on to play in Denver, turned out to be a decent player for the Nuggets, but he never really became quite the player that everyone thought he would be, but he ended up being a good leader on that Nuggets team. He was part of the Nuggets team that knocked out the Sonics in round number one.
That was his good times when he got to Denver. Yeah.
Hershey Hawkins.
Hawk. Blazer assistant coach for many, many years now.
They also got Danny Manning in 88. Other first-round picks, Danny Ferry, Loy Vaught, Bo Kimball, LaRon Ellis, Elmore Spencer, Randy Woods, Terry DeHare, Greg Minor, and Lamont Murray. Like they had a string of just absurd picks. All right, big thanks to all of you for listening. Big thanks to Michael Shacker. Dwight and I are going to be back. Big thanks to Ben Golliver for joining the show. We're back tomorrow, Rip City Drive from 3 until 6. Justin Myers will have Rip City mornings at 6 a.m. Thank you for the pretzels, my friend. I appreciate you.
Always here for you, Chad.
All right, we're taking it to the streets. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
The 1-ball, 2-strike pitch.